Hi, I'm Paul Carroll. I'm the editor-in-chief at Insurance Thought Leadership. I'm delighted to be joined here today by Josh Landau, who is the president of the International Insurance Society. He just concluded a terrific event, the Global Insurance Forum, and we've been following up on that with a series of interviews that we're calling the Global Insurance Executive Series. So Josh, welcome, and maybe you could start us off by just summarizing a little bit about this event. I know, the theme was the Great Reset, and there's an awful lot going on there. But could you just start us off by talking a little bit about what you took away?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on this, Paul. Uh, Look, our global insurance forum this year was another outstanding success, uh, bringing people together from almost 99 countries, and we were able to do that in this virtual environment, and bring together exceptional thought leaders and influencers from the leading insurance companies and enablers around the world. Um, and look, the industry is in a very exciting place right now. And I believe that the insurance industry's ecosystem, really from brokers to carriers to the enablers in the insurtech field, have raised their visibility and are able to demonstrate how critical they are in helping society move forward. And the Great Reset and the theme that we used this year, it really brought this to a head, highlighting the outsized influence that the insurance industry has, both from the massive amounts of dollars that the global insurance industry has, and what they invest, or in some cases, what they don't invest in, and also what they underwrite, but similarly, what they don't underwrite. And that influence, an outsized influence, has had an amazing impact on how society moves forward and gives people the ability to take a step back and look at the way we were doing things and how we're going to do things in the future. And these themes came out during our 3 days seminar. And look, while we've had record catastrophes and spikes in mortality, the industry has proven resilient. And it's well capitalized and also well regulated. And especially also the use of data and the new tools that insurance companies have available to them have been used in a cutting edge way. And these themes were highlighted during our forums.
So, yeah, I think the insurance industry has a great story to tell. And in the midst of all this craziness, the insurance industry has just been a rock. And based on some of the conversations I've had, it sounds like people are really leaning into trying to figure out ways to broaden not the scope, but sort of the mission of the insurance industry. One in particular I heard a lot about was climate change. And I wondered if
Mhm.
you might summarize a little bit what you heard in terms of what insurance companies have done and what they're thinking of doing.
Sure. So absolutely, climate change and climate risk continues to be a highlighted topic in any forum that we talk about, and its influence. And the insurance companies are really working towards more towards private and public partnerships in order to address a lot of the increased severity of storms and the breadth of loss, a lot of which is also coming from the inflationary environment and the increased replacement costs that stemming from the increased costs. So the insurance companies are constantly looking at ways to mitigate the exposure through continued use of alternative sources of capital, whether it's reinsurance or insurance-linked securities. But again, also looking at collaborating with governments and then with insurtech to help better utilize the data that is being accumulated and then distributed to consumers and to businesses to help them make better choices. So really, it's the collaboration across the industry has really been a hallmark of how the insurance industry and the ecosystem is addressing climate change and climate risk.
When I interviewed Ken Mungan, the chairman of Milliman, for one of these interviews, I thought he had a really clever idea that I'm leaning into as hard as I can, which is that there ought to be ways to structure investments so that there can be tranches, and insurance companies can use the power of their investment portfolios to take some of the least risky tranches of some of these innovative operations that people are attempting, and then deploy a lot of this capital to not only do the sort of thing you're talking about, but actually participate as an investor. I actually did a project about a dozen years ago at the Department of Energy, and I'm connecting Ken with the person who ran that because he's very sophisticated on how this sort of thing might happen. So anyway, I applaud everything that happened there, and really recommend that people take a look at these other interviews because there are lots of nuggets like that one from Ken that are in there. Um, to get off my soapbox and get you back on yours, there also is a lot of talk about the protection gap, which is a perennial
Yes.
issue, and I thought people had some interesting ideas. So I'm hoping you can summarize some of those for us.
Absolutely. Look, Paul, the protection gap has been a perennial challenge globally in the industry, and we've been talking about this for a long time. But one of the ways that we've been hearing on how that this can be addressed more effectively and have more of an impact positively is uh, through the use of technology. Look, the cost to administer and distribute insurance and also to monitor continues to fall, and the ability to have greater adoption of insurance and the greater ability to distribute and to administer and then to allocate that insurance will have a positive impact of closing that gap. One of the challenges of course, was those costs. And with the continued collaboration across the ecosystems with the fintechs and insurtechs, with the carriers and brokers, we're seeing those costs come down and better able to address this. And Paul, that was another theme that really came out of the Great Reset Global Insurance Forum. It's the technology partnerships between the carriers and the enablers really is providing better solutions than the historical competition that we used to see, where companies, new entrants, were trying to disrupt and disintermediate the large entrenched players. But we're not seeing that. We're really seeing this, hyper collaboration that is leading to better solutions and better outcomes.
And embedded insurance is another theme that I certainly picked up on. And it seems to me that these things all sort of fit together because the
Mhm.
more you can embed insurance, the more you can address the protection gap, which is dealing with things like climate risk and so forth. So anyway, if you could tell us a little bit about what came out of the insurance forum on that topic.
Absolutely. And again, it comes back to the use of information, and our ability to use more advanced data analytical uh, uh, technologies. And when you take the ability to capture data through embedded insurance and then utilize the data more effectively and efficiently, you're going to get better outcomes. And I think that was another interesting evolution on the Global Insurance Forum. We're bringing together more varying issues together, and varying perspectives together, not just looking at one of the issues from, say, the carrier's view or the broker's view. We're bringing in the different perspectives from technology, from the data sciences, from the ability to capture the data through telematics and through wearables and through the embedded insurance products that are now becoming more and more commonplace, and allowing that appropriate sharing of insight, information, and data to get better outcomes.
Um, I was also intrigued by some of the sessions that talked about an evolving role for insurance. It certainly seems with something like the pandemic, that's not something that insurance can cover. I mean, insurance pools risks and make sure that when one person has a problem, then that person gets covered. But when everybody has the same problem at the same time, it seems to me anyway that that kind of takes it out of the realm of what insurance can do. You talked before about public-private partnerships, but I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit about other thoughts that you've had or that came out at the forum about how to deal with things like a pandemic or cyber, which almost seems to be a societal level risk or whatever.
You're absolutely right. And those have to be nationalistic and global groups coming together in that not dissimilar to where insurers and governments collaborated on around terrorist insurance. It's only through those partnerships and collaboration, sharing of information and data, and also resources that we'll be able to provide the level of protection to allow people the comfort to address those risks to continue to move forward. So that's the only way. And you're right, insurance is not the solution behind any of these problems. Insurance is meant to be a partner. It's a ability to help manage the risk. And again, we also heard a lot about the predict and prevent theme, which we'll be hearing a lot more about throughout the institutes in the coming months and year, and the ability to, again, utilize all of these partnerships and connectivity to provide those better outcomes.
So those are the main topics I had picked up from the forum. Are there any others that you want to hit?
I think, again, just re-emphasizing the outsized influence that the insurance companies continue to have and the industry continues to have, given the massive amounts of funds that it controls, the ability for the insurance companies to help influence change through what it's underwriting and what it's not underwriting, and providing the means for society to manage its risk, and that hyper collaboration that we're experiencing between the insurance companies, the brokers, and the technology companies to help utilize data in the more efficient and effective ways. And again, really looking at the insurance industry as an ecosystem and not in isolation. And those are the themes that came out during our forum this year. These are the topics that we will continue to explore during the year. And as we continue to find results from our global surveys on what the C-suite and business leaders around the world are thinking, we'll continue to do that research and provide those levels of insight.
And the sense I get is that you are optimistic. I mean, back in the spring, even earlier, when I first heard you and your folks talking about the theme of the Great Reset, the idea was largely that, well, we're hope will be at the other side of the pandemic, right? And people will be able to get back to the office and so forth and move on. But since then, the world hasn't exactly given us a pass. I mean, inflation has turned out to be way worse than people thought, and Russia invaded Ukraine and so forth. But when I think about the sorts of things we're publishing at ITL, it seems like there's progress being made on all kinds of fronts. I mean, people are figuring out customer experience. They're figuring out ways to make agents, brokers more efficient, underwriters more efficient, and so forth. So I certainly am optimistic. And the sense I get from you as well is that you'd like to leave people with a message of optimism. Is that right?
Very much so, Paul. We're seeing the industry really come together to address a lot of these issues in a way that we haven't in a long time. And again, I keep coming back to that collaboration. And it's looking at the societal issues where collaboration and cooperation will yield a better result than competition. There's absolutely room for competition and in a lot of areas, but for some of these really big global societal issues, the insurance industry really can play a unique and outsized role in helping address them and provide the tools to be able to move forward. They're not going to solve everything, but they are allowing them to move forward, take the risk necessary, and provide the resources to make more informed and better choices.
Perfect. I can't think of a better way to end things. So I appreciate your taking the time again, I encourage people to watch not just this interview, but the others in the Global Insurance Forum Expert Series, and of course to go back and look at the sessions from the Global Insurance Forum, which are available online. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Paul.